Okay. Hold on. Right.
With the questions.
I do have the questions, but last time I also had the questions for Ben. I barely even used the questions because we just spoke on a tangent. So I doubt I'm probably going to use those, but we'll see.
Probably not.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready?
Ready.
Welcome back to the Do It For Her podcast. We have Deb on the podcast today, doing a little interview and a little deep dive into his life and his journey. Before we get started, I do open up with a little question. What does the phrase "do it for her" or "do it for him" in your instance mean to you?
It would be do it for him in my case.
I would hope so.
Would be doing what makes you happy. I've even got the tattoo on my leg that says "Live your life, bro." Do it for him would be do what makes you happy. Choose what makes you happy and run with it. Nothing else matters.
100%. I agree. I love that. All right. Amazing. Well, do you want to give us a bit of a backstory to yourself?
How far back?
As far back as you want to go.
So,
in on the life of Deb.
So I grew up in South Africa. I was born and bred there. First time coming overseas was last year, April, where I'd never been overseas. I'd been out of the country a couple of times to different countries around Africa and everything, but never truly traveled. And I'd been competing in bodybuilding. My first show was actually 10 years ago tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So that was my first ever show. And yeah, I found bodybuilding at 15. And since then I decided I wanted to be a pro bodybuilder. I want to do this. This is what I want to do. And there hasn't been a plan B since then. So it was mainly in South Africa. Left school. I went to an all boys boarding school, but then left school, took 2 gap years to work at a supplement store and found coaching through that because my whole life I've been passionate about just helping people where I can. And I'd studied so much about training, about nutrition, about all of that from 15 that I thought, this is something I know a lot about. Let me teach other people and let me show other people how to do it properly. And that allowed me to get into coaching then. COVID hit and I stopped doing one-on-one training and had to move completely online. And as a result of that, I stopped and I went, I can actually make a decent living doing this completely online. So since about 2020, I haven't done any one-on-one training sessions, but then was an online coach in South Africa for about 4.5, 5 years until a mate of mine said to me, dude, you rave about being able to do this wherever you are. So why are you in South Africa? Why don't you go somewhere else? And that night, it was at a Green Day concert in January last year. I just booked a flight to Bali. And I heard
all concerts.
Green Day was one of my favorite childhood bands. And it was cool because they played one of my first albums that I bought was their CD called Bullet in a Bible.
Yeah.
Which was one of their concerts in Milton Keynes. And the set list they played at the show last year was basically identical. And it all sounded identical with the same crowd calls, with the same everything. So it was literally like I was living my childhood.
That's amazing. That's kind of cool because at the same time you were, I guess, coming back to yourself in the exact same time.
Exactly.
This is literally what I mean. Everything happens like in alignment. It's like everything just connects together and then it's like boom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I booked the tickets. I spent 2 days in Dubai. I'd never been out the country internationally. So I thought, fuck it, we're flying through Dubai anyway. Let's spend 2 or 3 days there. So I spent 2 days there. One of the athletes that I coach works for Emirates. So she took me around as a tour guide for 2 days. I got to see Banu's gym, which actually burnt down 2 days ago. But I got to see that. I got to see a few of the other gyms. And I got to see Dubai as a whole. And looking around it, I was like, this is pretty cool, but not my vibe.
Yeah.
Too flashy. I mean, I've always loved cars and everything. And after about 20 minutes there, I was pretty overseeing 13 different 911 GT3s and you know, the number of Maseratis and things. So I was like, this isn't my vibe. Came to Bali, and I was only meant to be here for 3 weeks. And after a week, I remember phoning home, and my parents were looking after my cat in my apartment in Cape Town. And I said to them, guys, do you mind staying in Cape Town for another month? Because I don't want to come home. So I moved my flights a month later. I pushed my visa out as far as I could and went home in July last year. And as I got home, I sold all my stuff. And I decided, no, I need to get back. And then came back in August last year for 2 months, bounced between here and Singapore for a visa run, came back, spent another 2 months here, went to Vietnam for a week, came back for a little bit, and then went back to South Africa for about 3 months over December, Jan, and Feb. And pretty much every single morning I woke up in South Africa, I was like, this is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
I do not want to be here because it didn't align with me.
Yeah.
Whereas here, being in the environment I'm able to be in, to train in, the food options, the people I've met and was surrounded by, I basically just resonate with it and relate a lot more to the people here. So,
do you feel like you've grown as a bodybuilder since becoming here?
Hugely. Because South Africa has a very, very small bodybuilding community. So, I mean, we have 4 different federations, but you go to the different shows and you see the same 100 different people at every single show. And most shows are only like 50 people.
That's crazy.
So every coach knows every coach. Every athlete knows every athlete. Every judge knows every athlete and coach. The politics are wild because of that. The favoritism is wild because of that. And the community just doesn't grow because there's no outside influence. As soon as you have someone who supposedly knows more, they get ostracized and pushed to the side because they don't fit into the bubble. And
so it's very much kind of like a cliquey thing.
Very cliquey.
Like when you're in school, like there's the cool kids, and if you're like an outsider, they will they'll like pretty much bully you.
Exactly that. And I even felt that the first time I went back, because when I went back in July, there were 2 shows that I went to that I had clients at. And one was a provincial show. So it led to nationals, all of that. And usually I was I'm friends with everyone. I'm someone that I get along with most people unless we have something that's happened. I'm going to get along with you. And I was kind of stuck in the corner at the show. The people that I would usually speak to would look and then turn away, sort of thing. And I immediately felt like outcast from it.
Yeah.
Because I'd taken a step out the pond, you know?
Wow.
And it was kind of like, guys, I've kind of learned a whole bunch of shit overseas with a bunch of pros and with this and that. Like, I want to share this with people. I want to share my new knowledge. I want to share my experiences and stuff. And it's kind of like, oh no, you left us, so you stay out there.
It's very tall poppy syndrome.
Very much like that. And I've heard Australia is very similar with it.
Yeah. Everyone, I mean, we were talking about this the other day, like everyone will they'll root for you to your face, but as soon as like you're doing better than them or you're going in a direction where you could potentially do better than them, they either completely distance themselves or they'll go and talk bad about your name and just try to bring you down. Exactly
that. And I mean, for example, the friends, and I say it like that because I thought they were my best friends. While I was there, the guys who I spent pretty much every single day with, in the last contest prep I did before this current one was in 2024. And my 2 best mates at the time were doing the same shows as me. So we used to pose together every weekend. We used to train together most days. We would go on walks together to get our steps in most days. Those guys just stopped replying to my messages when I would send them videos of undefeated, of all the different gyms. And I'm like, guys, check it, this shit. You need to come here sometime. You need to see this. And it was almost like bro, we're overseeing that sort of stuff. Like, what, you know? And I went back and there was silence. And it's because I'd left the clique, left the group.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere at the beginning of this year, they went and tuned one of my friends now on Instagram. And it's like, what? So it's very clicky,
That's so interesting.
very much, no, we're encouraging you to your face, but what have they said behind my back sort of
Yeah.
thing. So that's the environment I was in. And I felt that when I wanted to grow both as a coach and as an athlete, because I've also debated between the two. I'm incredibly passionate about helping people, but I'm an incredibly passionate athlete on the other hand as well, because my entire life I've grown up being a swimmer, then water polo, then rugby. Then when I found bodybuilding, I chose that over rugby. And it's like athleticism has played a pivotal part in my life, but so is helping people. So coming overseas gave me the opportunity to improve in both of those areas. And that's ultimately why I'm here.
Yeah. No, I love that. How do you feel? Because I'm sure, like, obviously you've progressed as a bodybuilder since being here, but how do you feel your actual, what's the word? Like your role as a coach, how do you feel that's progressed since being here? Do you feel like you show up as a better coach now?
100%. I think that in all aspects, my coaching has improved in the sense of I've been exposed to other coaches who know far more than me.
Yeah.
And not far more than me just in the sense of like theory. So, I mean, we know the basics of nutrition. We know the basics of training. There are always little gems of knowledge that you'll learn around those, but the basics stay the same. If you want someone to lose fat, you follow the same sort of principles. If you want someone to gain muscle, you follow the same principles. But the actual coaching part of it, the delivery of it, the practical side of it. I mean, for example, when I started working with Aaron Straker, he's one of the owners at Undefeated, and I got my first check-in response from him, and it was a 15-minute long Loom video. And I was kind of shocked, like, oh, it's just the first check-in. You know, it's just the first check-in. Of course, it's going to be long. And well, I've been with him for 6 months, and I've only received one video that's less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the standard's a little bit higher. Oh, he wants me to track this and this and this and this. Oh, and then this as well as that. And it's not like, oh, fuck, I have to do so much more for my coach. It's a case of, no, by staying on top of those metrics, he's allowed me to achieve better results.
Exactly, yeah.
So I see that in the coach I've hired now. And there's simple little things that I can implement myself to work up to being a better coach for my athletes. And to be very honest, I've seen better results out of my clients and athletes over the last 6 months since being around these guys, because also you learn the standards, what you surround yourself with, who you surround yourself with. You kind of let that rub off on you.
Yeah, 100%. You are your environment at the end of the day. Like,
exactly.
No matter, even if like you're in a bad environment and you try and turn against that and be something else, parts of it are going to dip into your personality, or you're not going to be able to give your full potential in that situation because you're not really pushed in that direction. But being here, everyone is like so insanely passionate about absolutely everything. Like, not even just like bodybuilding, like literally relationships, life balance, like the way you live your life, your morals and everything, like absolutely every aspect. Everyone is so passionate about everything, and you feel that as soon as you're around them, and it just makes you, it's like it just brings you down to earth, and like they've just planted a seed and you just grow.
Yeah. And it also highlights what's actually important, because something I've noticed, and look, not everyone here is the same. However, the same sorts of people flock together. So something I've noticed training at different gyms here, because I've trained at, 6 or 7 different gyms here. The only one that is stuck has been Undefeated.
Why do you think
and it's because of the people there. Yeah. It's a certain type of person gravitates towards that gym. Is you have the gyms like Obsidian where the same sort of people go there every week. So it's not like it's a shit gym that, oh no, people go to once or twice and they realize they don't like it and they go somewhere else. No. A certain type of archetype really trains there. It's people who look for a social aspect, aren't as serious as training, and like this is general speak, but I didn't relate to a single person there when I went there.
I felt so much anxiety when I went there.
It's hugely hyperstimulating. it's everyone talking to each other, but talking to each other about things that aren't training and stuff like that. And it's just, I felt I didn't fit in. So I never felt a want to go back. You know, and if someone now says to me, do you want to grab a day pass and go train at Obsidian? I typically say, no, not really. You know?
Yeah.
Even if they have cool specific machines and whatever. Like Undefeated, for example, I feel the people that gravitate towards there are people who are super passionate about training as a whole, about being an athlete. And it's not necessarily like only passionate pro athlete level people that train there. It's just people who take it seriously enough to respect that. And it has that calling to people. So it's why, I mean, all of my closest friends here train at Undefeated. All of the best relationships I've developed here are people from Undefeated.
Yeah.
And I feel that when you're in an environment like Bali, when you're here, you'll gravitate towards your group of people quite easily.
Yeah.
Because like you said, everyone's super passionate about what they do. So everyone wears their feelings on their sleeves. And it's a case of whatever that feeling is, whatever that passion is, comes to the forefront immediately.
100%. I feel like no one's afraid to be their self here.
Yeah.
And if I feel like it's because if someone's not going to like that, they're happy to just see you later. Like there are so many incredible people here that are so willing to put their hand out to you as well. And not even in like a way of like giving yourself a free, but like just being a part of your life. And that is enough in itself. And I feel like I've seen that with so many people. They're like people that you wouldn't even think you would ever connect with in this world. And you just walk in and they're like your best friend. It's so, it's the most bizarre thing.
I mean, for example, I gotcha. First gym I went to was Obsidian 1 before Obsidian 2 opened. And I went there with a friend who I knew from South Africa. Then I was like, no, I need to try Undefeated. That's why I came here. A friend of mine from Australia, Cade Robertson, he had told me a year previously, he was like, dude, you need to go to Bali for a month and lock into bodybuilding there. It will change your life. And the idea was sitting in my head. And then the opportunity to come came. And I messaged him and I was like, dude, like, tell me where to go. Tell me what you reckon I should do. And he said, go to Undefeated, speak to Jackson. And I messaged Jackson and I was like, hey, dude, hi, my name's Dev. I'm from South Africa, like coming to Bali for a few weeks. My friend Cade Robertson said I should reach out to you, come check out Undefeated. And Jackson responded, let me know when you land. I'll take you around the gym myself. And just that, I was like, this is one of Australia's best known coaches. He's a very well-known pro. He's a very good competitor. Jackson's the man sort of thing. And he wants to take me around his gym himself. Like, holy shit, this is cool. I arrived. He wasn't there. He had one of his friends take me around. But immediately, Brandon Kempter, who's one of the other owners, came up to me and was like, hey, dude, who are you? What's your name?
Yeah.
Introduced himself, asked me everything. I met Jack Eats, he's my best friend here. And I walked up to him. I'd seen him do a couple of videos on Instagram doing gym reviews. And I just walked up to him and said, hey, dude, you're the guy who does the gym reviews. He kind of looked at me like, yeah, you know, kind of, why is this gorilla talking to me? And after that, I chatted to him and another guy, Steven Physique, for a couple of minutes. 20 minutes later, Jack came to me and he was like, dude, I'm going out for breakfast with the lads tomorrow morning. Do you want to join us? And I was like, yeah, sure, cool. Let me know where, when, everything. Sent me a message. At the breakfast, there were 3 other guys there. It was me, Jack, Steven, and another friend I made, Maddie. And I mentioned to them my situation where I was staying in Bali, but like I wanted to stay an extra month, but I couldn't reasonably afford it. So I was looking for a place to stay. I was looking for this. I was looking for that. What were their recommendations and stuff? And they all had ideas and recommendations and everything. Jack got up, he left, Maddie left, Steven sat with me and he said to me, Dev, I'm a new client. What's your onboarding process go? And I went, he didn't hire me as his coach, but he went, what's your onboarding process go? And I went, okay. And I explained it to him and he just sat and shook his head. He was like, okay, cool. This is what you're going to do from tomorrow. You're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And he sat with me for 2.5 hours after the breakfast, helping me refine my onboarding process.
Oh my gosh.
And overnight, that changed completely, making me a more effective coach. The next day, Jack phoned me and he was like, dude, I've just found a 2-bedroom villa. Why don't you come stay with me for a month?
I feel like I'm about to cry.
Like, I did. Straight after that call with Jack, I did. I like put the phone down. I sat and I kind of like was like, what the fuck? What does this like want from me? And I even phoned my mom and I was like, why are people so hopeful here? Why do people want to just help me? Like, what have I done? What, what do they want in return? What am I going to get an invoice for in a month's time?
Yeah.
What phone call am I going to say being like, Dev, be at this place. I need you to do this now.
Yeah.
And I was just like very skeptical of it all. A few days later, Jack phoned me again and he was like, dude, I've got this place. Do you want your room or not? He was like, it's got a kitchen. You don't need to buy your food from a restaurant every day. It's got this, it's got this, it's got this. Don't worry about rent for the first month. I got you covered. And I was just like, okay, dude, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I rocked up there 20 minutes later, and every single day, Jack would take me on a walk. He'd be like, right, we're going to do this today. We're going to do this. He showed me the entire part of Bali because he had been here for about 6 months. And he invited me to his eating challenges because he does eating challenges. Yeah. And he became my best mate overnight like that because he just showed me the love and kindness and hope. And he helped me with everything I needed help with for nothing, not wanting anything in return. And Aaron was the same, my coach now. One of the first days I was at Undefeated, he was like, dude, you need a supplement store? Go to this place, tell them I sent you. You need a gear, dude? Go to this guy, tell him I sent you. If you need anything else, if you need new accommodation, if you need a scooter rental, if you need this, if you need this, if you need this, drop me a message, I'll help you out. And I was like, okay, thank you, you know? And out of nowhere, everyone just wants to help.
Yeah.
And that in itself has also encouraged me, where coming from my background of always just wanting to help people, it actually made me stop and realize, Dev, you don't actually help people as much as you could. And
but I feel like you also weren't put in situations where you could, because if people aren't going to do that, they're not going to be open to receiving it either, because they're probably the exact same mindset. Like, what do you want from me?
Exactly that. And coming from South Africa, that is the mindset of, well, what do you want from me if you're helping me?
Yeah.
People refuse help. People refuse, and it's seen as, what are you going to expect in return? But that is one of the major things that I've learned here, is that I wouldn't call it charity, but the encouragement to, if you're able to, help someone.
Yeah.
Don't wait for someone to ask. Don't wait for someone to say they need help. Don't wait for anything. If someone mentions something, you can see they're in need, you can see they need help them. Jump in, fuck the rest, jump in, help someone. You'll get something out of it.
100%. Even if it's not even something from them, like maybe they don't become a friend, or maybe they don't even talk to you ever again, but you know that you did something. And I feel like that just, whether it just makes you feel good as a person, or maybe it gives you like that push to create that next step in your business or whatever it is, like it all falls into this ripple effect. And it's just, it costs nothing to be a good person. Like
absolutely
nothing.
I mean, I look at the ways I've helped people here.
Yeah.
And literally, it hasn't cost me anything.
Exactly.
Yet the return I get from it, and it's not even doing it for a return. It's doing it out of goodness, out of kindness, out of wanting to. The return in the way of fulfillment. The return in just seeing someone smile when you made their day better. Like, in fact, there's a place on the main road coming back from Undefeated called Ubi Salem. It's a little hole-in-the-wall shop that makes sweet potato. They've got 2 big ovens. They just pile them full of sweet potato all day, and it just makes sweet potato. And it's literally 10K for 300 grams. So I get my lunch sweet potato there. I couldn't be fucking asked to cook my sweet potato every day.
Sweet potato.
It's literally, and it's like, it tastes like it's filled with honey, because it's a type of sweet potato that when it sits in the oven for long, the starches break down into a sugar.
Is it the purple?
No. They look like the orange ones.
Yeah.
But when they fully baked, they look dirty. But you break it in half and there's like a syrup oozing out of it. But anyway, 10K 10K for 300 grams of cooked sweet potato. It's really cheap. And I bought a whole bunch the other day, and it was like 18K or something like that. And I only had a 50. And I gave it to the chick, and she was scrambling for change. She couldn't even speak English. So I just went, Makasi, took it, got in the scooter. Seeing this chick's face light up after giving her 30K as a tip, just because I was like, you don't have to change, don't stress. It's just one little thing. There you go. Just seeing her face light up, I was like, that's pretty cool. You know, how people have so little here, how you're able to just do a little tiny thing like that.
Exactly. And just for reference, 30K is like not even $3 in Australia. Just for reference.
Like $2.80. $2.50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a place that encourages me to help people. It provides me with an environment to be a better athlete and be a better coach. It's helped me slow the fuck down, which is something I've always struggled to do. Because if you don't slow down and you try and rush anything here, you will only get frustrated.
Yeah.
If you don't have patience, you will only get frustrated. And so it teaches you how to be slow, how to be patient, how to just let shit happen, how to focus on you, focus on what you got to do every day, and ultimately you grow.
100%. Yeah. It's really beautiful, isn't it? I feel like you really do just come home to yourself when you come here. Yeah. And there's that whole thing of the Bali effect, but I feel like the Bali effect only happens if you allow yourself to surrender to becoming that. Because if you came in here and you still kept the same mindset of like, what do you want from me? You could have easily said no or not shown up to Jack's store. Exactly. And everything that's happened since then probably would never have happened, but because you took that chance,
exactly,
your entire life has completely transformed because of that.
Yeah, and I feel that's why the people who stay here stay here.
Yeah.
Is I know tons of people who come for 2-3 week holidays.
Yeah.
And that's all it is a 2-3 week holiday. They just see it at face value. They don't actually even meet people or speak to people or reach out to different people.
Yeah.
But I've grown up with ADHD, and recently, about 3 years ago, I found out it's ADHD. So it's part of the autism spectrum while having ADHD traits, but based in autism. And so my entire life I've grown up masking because I felt the need to perform. I felt the need to be certain things. I've been a huge people pleaser for most of my life. I've felt the need to, I need to perform for what would make them happy.
Yeah, rather than what makes you happy.
Exactly. And being here almost gives me the permission to not say, oh, fuck whatever anyone thinks, but to be, no, actually, fuck what anyone thinks. You don't need to perform for anyone. You don't need to perform for anything. You just need to be
you. Yeah.
And when you're just you, the right people gravitate towards you. The right people stay in your circle. And the people you actually want to be around will stay in your circle. So the growth in that has been huge. The growth as an athlete, the growth as a coach. I mean, I've competed, first show is 2016, second show 2017, third show, I did one show a year up until 2020. 2021 I did 2 shows. 2022 I did 2 shows. 23 I took off, and 25 I took off. But I only really consider my bodybuilding career having kicked off in 2021, because that's when I really took it seriously, where I would prep for a show but then follow through afterwards and the other steps and actually make progress, instead of dieting down for a show and then using it as an excuse to eat whatever I want for a couple of weeks, going completely out of shape or anything. However, if I look at the progress I've made since April last year, it completely dwarfs the progress I made in 3 years prior to that. And that's not because I've put more effort into it. It's not because I've tried harder. It's not because I've, eaten fewer cheat meals or tracked my food more day. It's just because it feels more natural to be in that area.
Yeah.
The sort of temptation to sway off plan isn't there, because not a single one of my friends here drinks. You want to go out, you want to do something social, you go and have a Coke Zero, literally. And it's not even, oh, fuck, we can't drink, guys. Dev's prepping. It's a case of, why would we go to a bar? No one drinks. No one wants to drink. It's loud. It's this. We want to get to bed by 9.
Yeah.
And those are the people I've always wanted to be around. So I feel that myself as a whole has grown, but that's who I am. I'm the athlete, I'm the coach, and I can finally be that person properly.
That's beautiful. I love that. We're going to take it back a little bit, but how did you find bodybuilding at 15? And what was the thing that made it feel like, oh yeah, this is it for me?
So I grew up, I've got an older brother who is 4 years older than me, and he was the fittest stoke in my high school. He was in matric, so South Africa we call grade 12, year 12, your final year of high school matric. So he was in final year when I was in grade 8, so junior year of high school. He was the fittest guy in the school. He was at like 5% body fat, shredded, first team hockey, first team water polo. He was one of the cool guys. And I was a chubby kid. I remember we had a fitness test. We had a thing called a beep test.
Same.
Where you have the shuttles.
Hated it.
And every set of shuttles is 10 beeps. And every 10 beeps it gets that one. And every 10 beeps it gets faster and faster. My brother's beep test score in matric was 142. Okay, that was the record at the school that year. Mine in grade 8 was 17. You can walk 17 beeps. I tapped out on 17 because I couldn't keep up. I was 36% body fat. And the guy who tested my fat percentage quite literally looked at me and said, this is a fucking embarrassment to little 13-year-old Dev, because I was a year young for my age as well. And so I always craved being better, being leaner, being, I'd look at my brother, I'd look at the first team rugby players, and I was like, I want that. And in grade 9, I kind of just got over it. I wanted to get chicks. I wanted to be attractive. So I started running every day. And then I found lifting in a men's health magazine. I found simplyshredded.com, which was a bodybuilding website. I found Ziz, who was the Australian dude who fucking back in the day with the parties and stuff. Looking back now, God, what an awful role model. But that's what I looked up to be shredded, to be all of that. And then I found that we had a gym on campus, which was cool. And everyone was kind of forced to do it at least once or twice a week. And I ended up going every day. And I started to see change. And so I got addicted to that change. And at 15 in grade 10 now, I got taken out of school because I went to a school called Hilton College where I was still with my old boys. And Hilton is the most prestigious, I can say easily, the best all-boys boarding school in Africa, let alone South Africa. It's also the most expensive all-boys boarding school in the country. And my parents, I don't come from a very wealthy background, so my parents were fighting tooth and nail for me to be there. And in grade 10, they came to fetch me for the one holidays and said, they were quite far behind on fees. We've been asked to take you out to school. And I was like, oh, okay. And got home and I was like, right, where am I going to school next term? And this was in August of 2011. And my dad said, you're not going to school because I'm sending you back to Hilton next year. And I was like, okay, I get to miss a few months of what the fuck is this? And it was basically a case of, you're going to have to manage being out of school for a couple of months, but you need to find something to do because you can't just sit at home playing Xbox. Oh. And I'd found training. I'd found gym. My dad was a marathon runner. I was playing rugby. So he was like, you're going to go for runs every morning. I was like, fuck that. I'm going to go lift. And it was something I could lock in on. I adopted, after being on Simply Shredded's forums, all of that, I adopted a bodybuilder lifestyle where I'd wake up, I'd go for a fasted walk, I'd eat breakfast, I would do my brother was learning Spanish, so I would do some Spanish lessons, I would walk to gym, I would come home, I would eat, I would go to club water polo in the evenings, and I'd go to sleep, and that's what I did. And I grew a lot. And I was like, this is really cool. And so I kept with it and I kept learning more about it. Then I went back to school and repeated grade 10. So now I was in the year below me and all my friends were in the year above. And it was that intimidation factor now of there's hierarchy in boys. But none of them gave me shit because I was all of a sudden bigger than everyone.
Mm.
And everyone was like, oh, Corke's on steroids, Corke's. I was too poor and too stupid to take juice at that time. I knew if I were to take it, I would fuck something up. And I'm very glad I didn't. And I had a certain level of respect from guys because it was clear that I knew what I was doing. And I just kept learning and kept learning and kept learning. And it came to finishing high school, where I was one of the biggest guys in the school now, played first team rugby, played first team water polo. None of those grabbed my attention like bodybuilding did. And I actually dislocated my shoulder in my last rugby game for Hilton. And the first thing that went through my mind was, shit, I can't gym. It wasn't, oh, I'm not going to be able to play rugby after school. It's, fuck, how long is this going to keep me out of the gym?
Yeah.
And I had the question posed to me of, are you going to play club rugby and go towards provincial and all of that? And being South African, rugby is our culture.
Yeah.
Like the Springboks being the team they are in the world. Everyone dreams of being a Springbok rugby player. And the decision came, right, do you want to play club rugby or do you want to bodybuild? And I was like, fuck that, I want to bodybuild. And I decided first year out of school, I'll take a gap year to try my hand at competing. And so I got a job at a supplement store and became manager of the supplement store within a few months because I'd been studying all the supplements for months. And came second year out of school. I didn't actually compete that year because I hired a coach who thought keto was a good idea for bodybuilding. And like, he was a very good competitor, but he thought keto was a good idea for me and wasn't. And I came just short of being in hospital about 4 or 5 weeks out. So pulled the plug on that prep. Then decided April 2016 was going to be my first show. Spoke to my parents. They were like, okay, you can take a second gap year as long as you've got a job. Had the job at the supplement store and competed. Didn't do very well, but absolutely loved the process. And I was like, no, this is what I want to do. And if I don't continue doing this, I at least want to show other people how to do it.
Mm.
So that's when I started personal training. It's when I got my personal training certificates. And from there hasn't ever been anything else in my mind. It's not like oh wait, let's see how this year goes and then we'll see how we do afterwards. Let's see what this year goes, then it's just been
You've just grown more and more into
this is who you are. Exactly.
Yeah. How does that feel knowing that you found what you were, I guess, destined for?
It feels pretty cool because I know lots of people who never do.
Yeah.
I got lots of mates who, I've just turned 30, so I've got lots of mates who are currently going through what you'd call probably a midlife crisis where they've been working a job as an accountant or something and they're losing their hair and they've got a boop and they're like, a boop is South African word for a tummy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I don't actually like what I do. Yeah, I earn a good bit of money, but I'm not happy. I'm not this, I'm not that. Let's try triathlons. Let's try running. Let's try this. Let's try that. Or let's just keep drinking every weekend. So knowing that I've had the direction that I've had ever since 15 years old is pretty cool. And the only negative feelings I have towards it are the fact that I was stuck in environments between 20 and 25 that weren't conducive to being a better athlete. Because there aren't that many people in South Africa that are destined or that are fully bound to this lifestyle. So you're always the outcast in the friend group.
Yeah. Does it feel like a bit of wasted time there in that sense?
Feels like entirely wasted time. If I'd found Bali when I was 21 years old, life would be a completely different story.
100%. But then again, everything happens for a reason.
It's that exactly. Bodybuilding brought me here at the time. It was meant to bring me here. Everything happened like that. So it's quite a cool feeling knowing that I haven't had to chop and change and knowing that I won't have that midlife crisis of, oh, what do I want to do now? Because this is what I want to do. This is what I've always wanted to do. You know?
Yeah.
And even if it's not competing, it's helping people.
Yeah, still something in that same direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you also get a law degree? Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah. So
What happened there?
I was dating a girl in 2019. We had been together we started dating in 2018. And her and I actually wanted to come on a holiday to Bali in 2020, but then lockdown happened.
Okay, right.
And also, everything happens for a reason. I'm fucking glad I didn't come here on a holiday. Never have come back. I would have been one of the people who comes for 2 weeks, goes home, and I wouldn't have had been thrown into it the way I
Yeah.
was. And she was studying accounting and CTA and all of that, and was very good at what she was doing there, and had a British passport. She was desperate to leave South Africa, as very many people are, because of the way the economy there is going, because of everything, because South Africa is a third world country. If you get the opportunity to move overseas, most people take it. Most people move to New Zealand, Australia, or the UK. It's just, it's common. And I was locked in on, I do not want this girl to leave me. And she had ideas to move to Australia because she could. And she was applying to study in Australia and to do all of that. And I was stuck going, oh shit, I can't do that. I can't just apply for a visa and move overseas to Australia. What's going to happen? Shit. Let me get a degree. If I get a degree, I'll be able to get a visa. I mean, it doesn't work that way. But I was like, let me get a degree. And I spoke to a couple of friends. I'd always been interested in, very good at arguing. And then I decided, I was like, right, if I'm going to study, because I'd studied a BCom business management 20, after my 2 gap years, my dad convinced me to start studying, and I did a year of a BCom business management and dropped out because I just couldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And it was 2020. I was like, fuck, if I'm going to get a degree, I need to follow through. And I chatted to a couple of friends. I'd started my coaching business formally. I'd registered it. I'd done all of that. And I remember sitting there in January 2020, having registered my company, having doing all of this, going, I don't know what's legal and not in a business sense.
Yeah.
I am too scared of doing something that's actually illegal, not necessarily going out of my way to do things under the table or anything, but I want to be compliant in running a successful business. And a friend of mine said to me, dude, I did a contract law course, and that taught me everything I needed to know about this part of my business. Why don't you look at law?
Oh.
And I found this one university in South Africa called Boston City Campus, which was one of the cheapest ones I could find. And it was one that allowed part-time, but with full-time benefits, in the sense that part-time for the exact same amount of time a full-time degree would take, so 3 years. But you only had to go into 2 lectures a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck yes, this works perfectly. I'm a personal trainer, online coach, and then I've got that. This works cool. So I couldn't be arsed with it. And I mean, in high school, I didn't get a single A. I got 79% for history, 79% for drama, because those were the only 2 subjects I really cared about. Everything else was in the 60s. I wasn't an academic. I cared about sport. Afrikaans, which was our one additional language we had to study at school, I would sit at the back on bodybuilding.com researching bodybuilding. That's what I did at school. So 2020 came around. I was like, right, I need to get a degree if I want to leave South Africa, because then I can get a job. Done. And I just applied for a BCom law. And then lockdown hit. And they said, no lectures, no nothing like that. You can do it fully online. And my ADHD kicked in. And my parents said, bro, you are 24 years old. We're not paying for you to study now. You've been living on your own. You've moved out a few years ago. We're not paying for this. And so the full responsibility of having to pay for my own degree, and then not wanting to fail at something again, and wanting to actually prove something to myself, I just locked in on it, and I passed cum laude, where my average was 90% at the end of the whole degree. And I did the entire thing through lockdown. through distance learning, so not a single lecture. Everything was basically a self-taught degree in law. And it wasn't along the lines of, right, we're going to do an LLB afterwards, we're going to study this afterwards. It was a case of, let's do something that actually allows you to run your business better. And it's done just that. Yeah.
That's crazy. How do you feel that your law degree actually helps with your coaching system now?
So it helped a lot at the time when I got it in 2023, because that's when I was more finding my feet on things. But it helped me, number one, confidence-wise, of being a business owner. Because as a coach, you're a business owner.
Yeah.
And I don't think lots of people realize that.
Yeah.
You've got to submit your taxes.
Yeah.
You've got to.
Like coaching's very glorified until you actually start it and you realize, oh shit, I have to be an adult here.
Literally, I think lots of people think you say you're a coach, you send someone your banking details, they pay you, and then that's it. And to be very honest, that's what it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
Is I made a spreadsheet invoice on Excel, and I would send my banking details to someone, they would EFT me, and that's how I got paid. But the law part of it taught me the importance of accounting, the importance of bookkeeping, the importance of contracts, the importance of actually being codified with certain ways that you do things, that you need to have registration documents, that you need to have your taxes filed, that you need to be on top of what compliance applies to you in your situation, so that you don't get a message or an email one day saying, hi there, we see you haven't paid taxes in 3 years, you owe us this amount.
Mm-hmm.
It also helped me stop living month to month, because it made me realize that you need provisions for certain things. You need to plan for tax. You need to plan for this. It basically helped me grow up into being a business owner and realizing the importance of things like that. And not just the face value of, oh, I'm a coach. But now I call myself a business owner because I'm a director of a company.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it helped in that sense to really understand the back end of things. And then also made me realize that anyone can own a multi-million dollar, multi-million rand, multi-million dollar, anything currency company if they know how to build it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as deep as you think.
It's about the systems and the foundations.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying I earn millions and millions of dollars as a coach, but it makes you realize that the difference between someone who lives month to month and just scrapes by compared to a fully established company and organization, you can never be that without getting those right systems in place.
Yeah, you got to have the basics always.
You could have 1,000 clients paying you $1,000 a month. You still won't be on the level of an established organization, because you won't be able to track where that money goes. You won't be able to track your expenses, and you won't be able to stay on top of things without drowning. And it helped me with my anxiety that I've lived with a chronic anxiety disorder, so I'm always worrying about little things here and there. It helped me settle most of that, because it takes a lot of it out of your mind.
Yeah.
Because you've got the files for that. I know you've got an accountant now. I know you've got this person now. You've got a bookkeeper. You've got this. And it's ultimately just showing me the business side of things.
Would you recommend for, I guess, all coaches to do some kind of business degree or law degree on top of their personal?
I don't think a full degree is worth it, to be honest.
Yeah, even a course.
I think a course, though, because it's something, I did a personal trainer's diploma. So it was a 2-year personal trainer's thing that I finished in 3 months, because it's literally what a macro is. Everyone who has ever done one will tell you how easy it is.
Yeah.
And it touched on, this is how you send an invoice. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. That's it.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything about business registration. Didn't say, and let me tell you, if I didn't have people that I knew that had been fucked financially because they hadn't done those things, I probably wouldn't have realized the importance of it. I did.
And you'd probably be one of those people.
When I was a small fish, trust me, 2021, I had quite a few panic attacks thinking SARS, who's South African Revenue Service, there were a few sleepless nights where I was like, oh my God, they're going to come knocking for my tax. And I was earning like 1,000 Aussie dollars a month, you know? They didn't give a shit about me back then. Whereas if I hadn't taken the steps then, now earning 10 times that, trust me, they would give a shit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I think that most coaches, if not all coaches, need to get some sort of business advice or counsel at regular intervals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've got an accountant who does my tax compliance, who does all of those things, who lets me know in advance with certain things that I would have no idea about otherwise. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, 100%. And having those systems in place, like, yes, there's probably going to be a bit of out of pocket there, but really in the long run, you're putting yourself in a position where you can actually focus on the work that you want to be focusing on, and someone else is handling things. Or at least you have that mental clarity that, like, even if, say, something, God forbid, happened, you had the backup and the resource to be like, well, no, like, this is actually like what's going on. There's contracts in place, there's systems in place. Like, I've got all of the prerequisite screens and everything, and you have that all there in case of things happening.
Exactly that, and that's to protect you.
Yeah.
It's like you said, with the, sure, there's a little bit of out of pocket. I mean, I don't know what accountants in Australia charge, but for example, my accountant for my full year-end tax, full this, basically my invoice at the end of March, which was the end of the financial year, start of the new financial year, the biggest accounting invoice I got was 500 Aussie dollars, which in one go is like, oh damn, that's something I didn't pay last month. That's big. If I hadn't have submitted all of those things on the right time, on this, on that, I worked it out. My penalties would have been 10 times what that was. Let alone the amount of time I would have had to spend doing all of that.
Yeah.
As well as the stress about, oh fuck, I don't know what an IRP5 form is. I don't know what this is. I don't know what. I think those little expenses allow you to actually do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Which is being a coach.
Yeah, exactly right. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, wow. Get a business course.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, going back again, what ended up happening with the girl?
Oh, we broke up in lockdown because we decided to either stay at my place or her place. And staying at her place was with her alcoholic mother. So I decided to stay at my place. And then that just clashed as well because we weren't in a position where we were ready to move in together. And I was like, this is not working.
Yeah.
And we just grew up. We had grown into different people. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the relationship that fizzled out.
So the law degree was just for you at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Didn't need to go to Australia. Have you gone to Australia yet?
I haven't gone to Australia yet. No, I haven't even really gone, fuck, I didn't go to Australia. Oh my God, I can't move there. Neither did she though, so.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know what happened. I got blocked after a few weeks, so as usual, one of those. Yeah.
All right, well, another question. How do you feel, I want to say, like, how does your bodybuilding nourish your ADHD, or how does your ADHD nourish your bodybuilding?
So initially there was a big clash with them because with ADHD I crave novelty, and that's been a downfall in lots of things where I always want new, I want this, or, I get bored very easily of routine, of structure, of all of that, but then I lean into it, and when I start to feel bored, that's when I know things are working better. So routine, structure, the same things every day, all of that makes me that much more effective in life because it's when I can actually manage the chaos. And a quote I heard a while ago was, you didn't thrive because of the chaos, you thrive despite the chaos.
Yeah.
And that's something I've learned my entire life, is that I've often thought that the chaos is what makes me thrive. Like, oh no, I need chaotic this, I need to be all over the place, I need that energy to get me going. And it's like, no, you've done everything you've done despite all of that going on. Why don't you just get a structure, get a routine, and then try? So it helps me lock in on a routine a lot better, on being super specific about sorts of things. Like, I mean, I've got OCD traits. I don't like to say it because then everyone jumps to having OCD. Oh no, I like everything neat and tidy. I mean,
like all bodybuilders do to some degree.
We've got our set ways of doing things. I mean, I make my cream of rice the exact same way every single day. And it drives me mad if I all of a sudden have to make it a different way. So it's little things like that.
Run out of water.
Yeah. But it's also, I get anxious if I know I'm not going to make my bedtime.
Yeah.
And so I do everything I can to make sure I can make my bedtime.
But that's the things that people struggle with in bodybuilding, is not being able to meet their protocols. But because of your ADHD and
it allows me to do it better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So it's managing the two together has been more about finding the enjoyment in certain things, because when I enjoy something, I stick with it.
Yeah.
So if I don't enjoy something, finding the root of why I don't, and then changing it so I do, so that I don't need to constantly seek novelty, so that I don't need to have a different dinner every night, so that I actually feel better having the same dinner, the same routine, and the same gym, and the same environment, and the same. It's almost like it forces me to chase boring. And boring's what works.
100%. The simplicity of life is really what helps you grow, because when things are simple, you can invest yourself completely into those. Yeah.
And I feel the hyper focus it gives me as well is a huge benefit, because it's allowed me to learn as much as I want about it, in the sense that in those Afrikaans lessons, I would pull up my laptop and for an hour I would go on a deep dive on creatine. And as a 16-year-old, I knew more about creatine than 90% of the population. And so I've never had to read about it ever again, unless there's an updated thing, and it's like little things like that. It's allowed me to get to the bottom of problems.
Yeah.
As a coach, as an athlete, all of that, and learn what I need to learn.
Yeah, 100%. Do you feel you have an addictive personality in some degree?
I don't like to say an addictive personality, because I feel like if you give anyone the right substance, they'll get addicted to it easily enough.
Yeah.
If you give anyone heroin, they're going to enjoy it, if you will feel a tendency towards it. I feel my brain, because of my ADHD, because it's clinical, because it's not just a hyperactive, I've got lots of energy. I have a clinical, if you look at the actual pharmacology of my brain, my serotonin levels aren't normal, neither are my dopamine. So I'm super sensitive to dopamine responses. So in that sense, I get addicted to things that provide me with a quick spike of dopamine very, very easily. However, I'll look at things like alcohol, and I can't even drink alcohol anymore. I've never been addicted to alcohol because that didn't give me that dopamine spike. So the addictive personality part of it comes from, I fall into habits and routines that give me the right balance of serotonin to dopamine. And that's where I would find myself having an addictive personality.
Yeah. When things actually feel in alignment with yourself, that's when you'll allow yourself to surrender and completely pour into that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've noticed that in the past with certain relationships, is that when there's, my previous relationship was with an avoidant person, completely avoidant, where there would be a dopamine spike from a connection we had, and then a complete trough, because it would go a certain period of time where they would pull back completely. And then the chaos would go in my mind of, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then I would get a connection again, and the dopamine would spike, and then it became a toxic cycle like that for a few months. And that felt addictive in a sense. But then again, there are other aspects of life, like competition prep, that I feel addicted to, because I'll get a dopamine spike every single time I do a check-in. I'll get a dopamine spike every single time I nail a goal in it. And that's a healthier response that aligns with me, like you said. So the routine of it allows my serotonin to be more stable and balanced without relying on things like SSRIs that I've had to before. And that stability, that routine keeps serotonin in check. And as long as I'm doing what I need to do, I get the dopamine spikes. And so in a sense, it is addictive, but without that chaotic feeling of an addiction. You know,
Yeah.
it's almost like a smooth addiction.
It's an addiction without, I guess, having that instant reward. Like it's more of a consistent reward.
Exactly.
That's bringing you back to homeostasis, I guess you could really say.
Exactly.
Yeah. How do you what's the word? Oh. How do you balance relationships and bodybuilding? Have you ever been faced with like a situation where it has clashed in a sense, or maybe like friendships or like emotional relationships where they've not necessarily been as supportive for it? How have you balanced through that?
So I've been, ever since I was 15, everyone who's ever known me has known how committed I am to bodybuilding, and that no matter who you are or what you do, you're not going to pull me away from that. So that previous relationship I was in, there was a big clash with it because it was fighting for my attention. It was either bodybuilding or her had my attention, and it was fighting between that. And that ultimately was one of the causes of leading to the demise of the relationship. Whereas other relationships romantically that I've been in have supported it, but then others have made me realize that that's not the right fit for me because it's with someone who doesn't align with that lifestyle at all.
Yeah.
Friendships, I've seen some of my truest friendships. I mean, my longest best friend, Tim, we've been best friends since we were 15, and that's when I found bodybuilding. And this oak couldn't give a fuck about lifting the weight. He just couldn't. He parties every weekend. He works for an events company, so he parties every single weekend. He takes copious amounts of drugs. He does all of that. He has a whole lot of fun. He is in a different city every weekend. That's what he does.
Yeah.
He supports my bodybuilding like nothing else. I mean, for example, last year when I was living in Cape Town, he flew to South Africa. He lives in Amsterdam now. He flew from Amsterdam to South Africa. And it was around my birthday, and I said to him, dude, I've got a spare room, you can stay with me. He was like, oh, I was expecting to stay with you. Like, that's why I'm coming, is to stay with you for your birthday for a week. He arrived, and he said to me, cool, you let me know your gym schedule, you let me know your food plan, you let me know all of these things, so I can organize what I need to organize on the side. Is it okay if I keep this food in your house? Is it okay if I keep this? Is it okay if this? Just let me know what time you're going to gym. I'll make sure that that's when I'm doing my work. So when you're done with training, we can do things. Without me even saying, shit, sorry, bro, I've got to get to gym at this time, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. He was just like, you let me know, bro. I know that's what you do. I know that's how important it is to you. Cool.
How comforting does that feel when you know that the people in your life are taking the initiative to just go that extra mile? Like, it's not much at all, but then honestly, you probably wouldn't give two shits if they had food there or if they were up late or coming in, whatever. But just them saying that shows how much they respect you and respect the choices that you're making. And that's
it's that entirely. And it's luckily my family is the same as well. Is whenever I visit South Africa now, I stay with my parents. And when I'm, whenever my mom fetches me from the airport or whatever, she's like, what do you need for dinner? What do you need for, what foods do you need me to make sure you have for the next few days? They'll ask because they know how important that is to me. And I just feel that that's kind of standard when someone cares about you. I mean, if I had someone staying with me who I knew they fucking love flapjacks, I would make sure I had flapjacks in my fridge for them to have it's just, I feel that when people actually care, and that's when a relationship or a friendship or anything like that actually means something, because the people will pay attention to those small details.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've learned to pay attention to know who actually cares or actually just wants you around.
Yeah.
Because all my closest friends care about the small details with me. Whereas people who've just wanted me around kind of go, oh, fuck, right, I forgot, that's what you like. So it's something I've learned to pay attention to. The people who care.
100%. I feel like it really is the little things that matter in life.
Yeah.
Like the big things, people can show up to your comps. They can celebrate you in the crowd and everything, but they're not the ones that are checking in randomly on a Tuesday and they're like, "How are you feeling today?"
Literally.
Yeah.
They're not the ones who, I don't like to say go the extra mile because I don't ever expect anyone to go the
It's
extra
the
mile
bare
for me.
minimum.
But that bare minimum,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and I feel like the bare minimum is really I'm losing my words. It's like it's very like it's just not what it should be. It's very blasé.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of brushes over it, and the perspective of the bare minimum is either very far from the truth or they don't even actually acknowledge it because they don't see it as a big deal.
That, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It really isn't a big deal, but it just tells me you care.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes back to being a good person, like
Yeah.
back down to being a good person again as well.
Exactly that.
Yeah. I love that. All right, I do also want to visit one more thing. You said to me that you've looked at things as the bigger the dragon, the better the movie. What does that mean to you, and how do you live that out?
The bigger the dragon, the more epic the story. Basically means the bigger the challenge, the better the victory.
Yeah.
In the sense of, it's an Alex Hormozy quote. I can't take credit for it, but it's a case of, if you only thrive for small challenges, well, then your success isn't going to feel that great.
Shoot for the stars, land on the moon.
Yeah, shoot for the stars and fucking take out a star. If you're shooting for a star and you land on the moon, that's kind of disappointing, I think. But if it's a case of the bigger the dragon, the more epic the tale, it's a case of the bigger the goal and the harder the struggle, you know you're going to get through it. And speaking from experience of certain hardships I've come through in life, I've made it through all of them. There's a reason I used to worry a lot, and I don't worry a hell of a lot about things anymore, in the sense that I know I will make it work. I know I will find a way to work, no matter how big it is, because the bigger it is, let me tell you, the story you can tell afterwards is going to be pretty fucking cool. So strive for big challenges, strive to have massive goals, strive to not aim small, strive to aim big. Because if you fail as well, cool, then you learn how not to do it.
Exactly right.
It's a case of, if you have a big goal that's completely terrifying, it's a big dragon that's in front of you. No one talks about the guy. There's no storybook about a guy who woke up and squashed a spider in the corner of his room. But there's one of the most famous tales of David fighting Goliath. And I'm not a religious person, but it's still a famous tale of how a little boy with a slingshot took out a massive fucking giant. And people talk about it because it's unheard of how you do that. So being a kid who dreamed of being a pro bodybuilder and lived in small little South Africa, coming overseas, well, if I fail at being a pro bodybuilder, what else am I going to learn on the way that's going to allow me to slay an even bigger dragon come a few years' time?
Exactly right.
It's something like that.
Yeah, and you've also built that trust in yourself throughout the years that you can get through the hard days.
Exactly that.
And that allows you to put yourself in a lot more uncomfortable situations where you do have that opportunity to grow. But if you didn't, from way back when, put yourself in those situations and prove to yourself, no, I can do this, you honestly probably wouldn't be here right now.
Exactly. I mean, I come from being taken out of high school at 15 years old to being able to live anywhere I want to in the world, technically, doing what I want to every single day, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
I don't work for anyone. I run my own business. I decide what I do. I wake up and decide what I want to do every day.
Yeah.
And that I'm Is that
No, it's my notifications. I've been put on Do Not Disturb.
cool?
No.
It's a case of I've developed the life I want to live, having come from nothing. And the story I'm going to tell one day because of that is I don't want it to be a story of, oh yeah, I just woke up and did the easy thing and yeah, I got a salary and I saved every month and that allowed me to invest in this, and then, oh my God, I can afford a fancy car and my kids can. No. In 20 years' time, I want to sit down and say to my kids, right, guys, holy fuck.
Buckle in.
Should have fucking seen what happened that year. I did this and this and this and this. And it's a classic meme of the kid sitting looking at his dad going, what a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
That's what I dream of having, is I'm a storyteller and I want to be able to tell epic stories one day.
It's beautiful. What if you were to give any piece of advice or any message out to everyone right now that maybe is questioning taking that next step or changing the direction of their life or just going for that dragon, what would you say?
Just fucking do it, because
What's the worst that's going to happen?
a lot of shit can go wrong. But it's a case of the more you negotiate with yourself, what you actually want to do is never going to go away. The want, the desire, the dream, it's never going to disappear. It's always going to be there. And if you don't achieve it, it's going to turn into regret. And is that regret you can live with? Sure. Then don't do it. But if you can think of, how would 30 years from now me think? What would 30 years from now me think if I still hadn't achieved or done that thing I want to do? And if you're okay with what that answer is, then it's not something you truly want. But if the answer to that would be, fuck, I would regret that more than anything than if I didn't even try. Just do it. Take the flight, book the ticket, take the step, jump in the cold pool, stop negotiating with yourself and just do it, because you have absolutely no idea how much happier you can be when you make a decision that scares you right now. Because let me tell you, it's not as scary as it actually seems. It will bring you what you want to do, and it will bring you that happiness that you're probably searching for right now, and that's why you've got those dreams.
I feel like you just spoke to my soul. Oh my gosh. That was really powerful, and I can really tell that you do mean that 100%.
100% do.
Yeah.
Because that's what I needed to hear a year ago. And a friend of mine told me, book the ticket, just fucking do it, dude. Don't think about it. Don't debate it, just do it. And let me tell you, booking that ticket to Bali was the best decision.
Yeah. Wow, thank you for sharing that. Before we finish up, one last question. What's a quote that's living rent-free in your mind right now?
I need to read it off my phone.
You can do that if you want.
I need to read it off my phone, because there's one that comes to mind. Came from this year. A lot of people have stuck their neck out for me. Not just this year, recently, and in recent times. And we have screenshots. I hate this new album. Why are screenshots like 5 things to the right?
Yeah.
We've become an era of, I don't owe anyone anything. In some perverted disguising of simply being self-centered. But the fact of the matter is that you do owe people something. You owe the people that believed in you to keep going. You owe the people that put their neck on the line for you to make sure it wasn't in vain. Most of all, You owe the people that showed they love you to love them back. Means a little bit.
I'm crying.
To love them back, not just in words when they're around, but in action when they're gone.
Who did you just think of?
Jack and Aaron. They're around. They haven't gone anywhere. But those are two people who have put their neck on the line for me for no fucking reason. For no reason whatsoever. And one of the questions you asked me that's not on that list that you sent me the other day was, have you thought about giving up in prep ever? And I thought about that for a while because there have been previous preps that, I've thought about, holy fuck, there's nothing I would rather do than stop, than just sit back and stop. And to add someone else to that list is Steph. Steph was my coach for 6 years before Aaron. And we didn't split ways because of anything negative. I wanted to move on to a different coach. And I needed a new experience. And this prep has been tough. Not in the sense of how deep it's gotten. I'm 10 weeks out. I'm nowhere near how tough it's going to get. I'm nowhere near the fatigue, the hunger. You'll know this being 3 weeks out. I am nowhere near that right now. I still have a long, long, long way to go. Usually in the first 2 weeks of prep, I have the idea of, hey, you don't want to do this, bro. This is tough. When it gets uncomfortable. And this is the first prep that I haven't had an ounce of wanting to give up. And that I know it's the first prep I've entered where I'm certain of the day I'm completing. And I'm certain of stepping on that stage. And I'm certain of no matter what happens, I will get up there. Because of those oaks. What they've done for me to be able to prep. Yeah. There have been challenges and times that I've thought about it. Fuck, is this a good idea? Probably hasn't been. Financially, emotionally, physically, where I'm like, might not be the smartest decision. And they were guys who took a step back and said, no, dude, you're doing this. And that's why this is the first prep that I've ever had where I'm certain, because of all of those guys, I fucking owe it to them. Steph sponsored me for 6 years. I didn't pay him a cent. He is the best coach that South Africa's produced of all time. And he coached me for free for 6 years because he believed I could get my pro card. Aaron has believed in me since the day he started coaching me that I can do it. Jack has been the best friend I've ever had the last 6 months. I owe this to them to do it. And so no, giving up isn't an option.
It's really beautiful.
Got emotional when I didn't think it would be.
They really your safety net.
They're not a safety net, they're a support system. Because a safety net implies that they'll catch me when I fall. Or if I fall. They would. But I don't like to see them as that because then it's a reliance. I don't rely on them. And they know that. They will be there for me no matter what. And they will have my back.
I love it. Wow. With that being said, and a few tears shed from both of our parts, where can people find you?
So, on Instagram, at DevCorke with an E. So like wine cork with an E. Facebook is just personal for me, but then YouTube as well, at DevCorke. I think YouTube at dev_cork.
Let me just fact check this for a
second. I'm picking up my YouTube again.
I have seen that. I also heard about a little something potentially in the works.
It's at DevCork5372. Just search DevCork on YouTube and you'll come up with my thing.
Probably only one of them.
There is only one vanilla gorilla. So yeah, I'm dropping weekly YouTube videos through prep. I was meant to drop one today, but I would rather have been on this podcast than have edited that. So that will drop tomorrow or Friday. And yeah.
And are you taking on clients as well?
Yeah. So if you want to reach me for coaching inquiries, anything, drop me a DM on Instagram or go to my website, devcorke.com.
Beautiful. All right, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Didn't go to plan at all, like I told you,
No.
but I'm very happy with the direction it took, and I hope you guys took something from this. If you did, like, comment, you know the drill. Send this to someone that you think is actually going to benefit from this as well, because I feel like this is definitely a story that's worth hearing, and a lot of people can take a lot of advice or even just that push that they need to take that step. So definitely give it a share. But yeah, we'll see you. Well, I'll see you, maybe Deb again soon, in the next episode. Thank you so much.
Dope.
That was
cool.